Well, another major European country, Italy, also has a new leader who gave her first policy statement in Parliament today. Giorgia Meloni is Italy's first woman prime minister and also the country's first leader from a far-right party since World War II. Meloni's speech was closely watched for clues about policy changes under her new coalition government. Now, she affirmed Italy's strong support for Ukraine, but acknowledged that the energy crisis resulting from Russia's war would dampen the country's economic outlook. Meloni also said that her government will work towards stopping migrant boats from setting out from North Africa. And just last week, a recording emerged from Meloni's coalition partner, Silvio Berlusconi, in which he boasted about his personal friendship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The new prime minister today sought in her speech to dispel any doubts about Rome's commitment to Kyiv.
Italy will continue to be a reliable partner within NATO, supporting the brave Ukrainian people who oppose Russia's invasion. Giving in to Putin's blackmail on energy would not solve the problem. It would make it worse by opening the way to further demands.
Well, correspondent Seema Gupta is following this story for us tonight in Rome. Seema, it's good to have you back with us. The new prime minister, Giorgia Meloni, she comes from a far-right Eurosceptic party, a coalition with neo-fascist roots. She says that Europe is watching her closely. So what did you make of the tone of her speech today?
Well, I think it was really a combative and very resolute speech on her part, at times even emotional, particularly when she talked about the fact that she was the first woman prime minister, the first female to take on such a role. And also when she remembered the humble roots that she came from. She grew up in a working class neighborhood of Garbatella here in Rome. And when she talked about those things, she got quite emotional. But overall, I think she struck the right note in terms of reassuring her European allies. She said she was pro-NATO. She's 100% behind it. She would support EU rules, but making changes where she feels it hasn't been working for a long time. But being part of the European family, and also that stance of being pro-Ukraine. When it came to her neo-fascist roots, she was also very clear, saying that she was always against any kind of regimes, and that would include fascism as well.
You know, I want to pick up on the topic of Ukraine again. You know, there have been concerns in Brussels, other capitals around the EU about this new government in Italy and its commitment to backing Ukraine, but especially after this leak that we had of comments about Putin from Silvio Berlusconi. Are all three coalition partners, are they all three firmly committed to protecting and supporting Ukraine?
Well, that is the big question. You're absolutely right with that bombshell audio tapes in which he seemed to talk about recently exchanging gifts with the Russian president and even criticizing the Ukrainian leader, Zelensky. That really didn't bode well for the coalition. And let's not forget, her other coalition partner, Matteo Salvini of the League Party, has been known to express his admiration for Putin in the past. He's also questioned the role of sanctions, saying that in the long run, it might hurt Italians more than actually damage the Russians. And so there is some question on that front. But Ms. Meloni, for her part, has made it very clear. Anyone who is part of this government has to be supporting the Ukrainians. And if they're not, they cannot be part of the government at the risk of forming no government. So really, at this point, each member of this coalition needs the other in order to go forward and govern. And as we saw earlier this evening, they all voted in support and passed a vote of confidence in the lower house.
A big reason for the far-right's election win was its promise to tackle migration. I want us to take a listen to part of what the new prime minister had to say about that today. Take a listen.
This government aims to pursue a course that hasn't been fully implemented, stopping illegal departures as a way of finally breaking human trafficking in the Mediterranean. An EU option which has never been implemented provides for blocking departures from North Africa.
Seema, explain to us what the new prime minister's thinking is here on migration policy. And is this something that Italy can do alone, or is it going to depend on other European Union members?
Well, what she was doing was clearly also speaking to her supporters. And this is an issue that is really a hot button topic for them. And she stressed that their aim is to stop those migrant boats, as you heard, stop the smugglers, and work with governments in Africa, particularly in North Africa, to halt the flow, creating these so-called hot spots in those countries to process asylum requests. Now, this is something that's been talked about in the past, and she has made it clear that she wants to work with Europe on this, but it's been very difficult so far to find a common ground on this issue. And some even question the legality of doing such a measure, whether such a naval blockade can even work. So really, there are risks and challenges involved in pushing such a policy, but this has been something she has talked about throughout the election campaign, and it's something that she wishes to continue. Having this right-wing coalition behind her, let's not forget, Matteo Salvini was very much in favor of this when he was the interior minister here in Italy.
And what about inflation? You know, we recently saw images of Italian protesters burning their energy bills. I mean, how much pressure is on this new government to tackle inflation?
There's a lot of pressure with those soaring energy prices. She knows full well that this is a key issue for Italians, Italian families and Italian businesses. And if you want the economy to pick up, there is a risk that Italy could go into recession in 2023. And she acknowledged this fact and in fact said that she may have to delay some of those election promises as far as the economy is concerned, because this issue is really on top of the agenda. It's tough times here in Italy. She has made it clear it's the most difficult situation that Italy has to face since World War II. And so because of these reasons, she feels that will be a main issue that she has to do, which essentially means coming up with help for families as well as businesses having to deal with these really high costs in their energy bills.
Journalist Seema Gupta joining us tonight from Rome. As always, Seema, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you.